Hello, how y'all doing? I'm going to talk to you today why you should not drive in flood waters. This is the reason. You see this mathematical equation. Force equals mass times acceleration. Mass times the acceleration. This is the reason why you should not drive in flood waters. Now, everybody tells you that. I mean, if you just watch the news, the weathermen will tell you, do not drive in these flood waters. Okay, but and I know y'all losing interest, particularly you black males. Y'all, once you throw a math equation up there, y'all out. Okay, but look, this is why you should not drive in flood waters. Force equals mass times the acceleration. Now, what is acceleration? Acceleration is feet per second squared. It is the change in velocity over time. See, these flood waters, they are going at a high acceleration. They are being accelerated infinitely over time. They may be going 65 miles an hour in this spot and 75 miles an hour in another spot. Okay? And the mass, you don't know what the mass is. Not, you can't even calculate the mass because you have trees in there, you have rocks in there, you have people in there. Okay, so the mass is extremely high. Now, this sign means in math, it means infinity. That means you cannot calculate it. It is too high to calculate, or it's too low. It's to the negative numbers to calculate, or it doesn't, or the number does not exist at all. Now, see, the acceleration of the water is too high to calculate because that water is coming, either coming from down the mountain or it's coming from the sky at such a high rate of speed. And the acceleration is changing by the second. So the acceleration here is infinity. You cannot calculate it. It's too high to calculate. The mass is too high. It's infinity. It is too high to calculate because there's all sorts of debris in that water. There's trees, there's limbs, there's people, there's, objects. It's infinity. You can't even calculate the mass at any 1 second in time. So therefore, the force of that water is infinity. You cannot calculate it. It is too high. So when that force hits your car is done for. If you're driving a truck, your truck is done for. You will see a lot of pictures of trucks under the water. If that force of that water hits you as a human being, you are pretty much done for unless you have a limb or something to hang on to, but you're done for. And the force of this water, you can see there are a lot of Mack trucks underwater too. You cannot win with these flood waters. I don't care, the water's coming down really hard from the sky, and if you live in a mountainous area like Tennessee, the force is coming down very hard from the mountains. And you don't stand a chance. If you are caught in this flood water, do not drive. You're going to have to let that car go. So what should you do? If you know a flood is coming, you should drive the opposite way. Get out of that area. If you are in a house and you see the flood waters coming, what you need to do is go to the mountainous areas. You need to go to the mountainous areas. I'm going to tell you why, because in the mountainous areas, they are absorbing most of that water. The water is flowing downhill. The water has already flown downhill, okay? So if you go to the mountainous area, you stand a better chance of survival. Maybe you can climb a tree or something. But see, the leaves in the mountainous areas, they're going to absorb most of that water. So you stand a better chance of surviving if you are in the woods than you do if you are in the town or in the community. You stand a better chance of survival. Now, I have driven in flood waters before, and I probably shouldn't have, but look, I did learn my lesson when I was in this area, and when the flood waters came, I parked on a hill, And I just parked up there until the flood waters dissipated, and then I could drive. I learned my lesson. But please don't ever drive in flood waters, because you don't stand a chance. Your car doesn't stand a chance, or your truck doesn't stand a chance. Or even if you're driving one of these Big Mac trucks, they don't stand a chance. And like I said, most of the time floods come on all of a sudden. But see, if you live in a community, you know which areas are going to flood. I mean, I know which areas are going to flood in my community. I know, so I'm going to make sure I don't go into those areas. I know which areas are going to flood. I'm going to make sure I don't go into those areas. Okay, and like I said, try to park uphill. Go the opposite way. Go to another town. Drive to another town. Have a nice day.